last part of the screen printing process is called reclaiming a screen, which essentially is allowing us to reuse the screen again. How we do this is, first we have to remove any ink that is currently in the screen. We use this by using a chemical that is often an ink degradant, which will essentially break down the ink and make it much thinner, more like a watery material. Once you've broken down the ink and wiped as much out of the screen as possible, you want to actually remove any tape that also might be on the screen. From here, we're actually ready to remove the emulsion, or essentially the stencil, from the screen. And there are a couple different ways you can do it. First, you're going to be using a reclaim chemical of some kind. Now, you either are going to spray that reclaimed chemical directly onto the front and back of the screen and let it sit there for a few minutes, or you can use what is called a dip tank. And a dip tank is essentially a tank filled with reclaimed solution that has been diluted down quite a bit, but all you have to do is put the screen in the tank, let it be in there for a half an hour or so, and when you take it out, essentially all that emulsion has been already broken down and is much easier to clean. It takes longer to soak, but you're not holding a power washer trying to reclaim it for a long period of time. Now, when it comes to the chemicals that you use, you get what you pay for. If you use higher quality chemicals, you're not only going to get a better quality print, but you're also going to be much easier to reclaim the screen. Now, when it comes to reclaiming the screen, you're going to want a nice electric power washer. Most likely, you can't use a gas power washer within an indoor facility. When it comes to electrical power washers, they're much harder to find a good one compared to a gas one. Do not go to Lowe's or Home Depot and go and buy the nicest electrical power washer they have. The problem is those are really meant for residential purposes, and they're not meant to be used on a weekly basis. They will break down. You're going to need to go online and you're going to need to purchase an electrical power washer around $500 that has a good pump that is going to last you years and is more for commercial use. The type of power washer is going to dictate how much pressure you're going to also be able to throw at the screen, and if you can't control it properly, you can actually ruin the screen when reclaiming it. Now, once all the emulsion has been removed from the screen, whether you've used the dip tank or just a power washer and after spraying it, we actually still have a lot of chemicals and often a haze in the screen. A haze is essentially what looks like the former print, like the ink is kind of still in the screen. At this point, we're actually going to use what is called a haze remover, spray it on both the front and back part of the screen. We'll scrub it down just like we do with our other chemicals. We let it sit and then we throw water onto it. And by doing all of this, we actually remove the haze from the screen and we have a much cleaner screen. Now, between throwing ink degradant, then reclaim chemical, and then the haze remover, we've actually made the screen kind of oily and not as dirty, but again, has a lot of chemicals that aren't going to be ideal for them when we need to put emulsion and then ink on it. So the last step in the reclaim process is actually degreasing. Degreasing the screen is actually, we're going to pretty much give it a final scrub that is going to allow us to remove any fingerprints, oil, or any other chemicals that may still be within the screen. This is the easiest part of the process and essentially is the last step, so it's kind of fun because actually reclaiming a screen is probably the least fun part of the entire screen printing process. You're typically in a dark room and you're throwing a lot of water around, which cannot always be the most friendly environment. Once you have degreased the screen and gotten all the chemicals out of it, you just have to put it in a dryer or just on a rack and let it completely dry before coating it with emulsion. If you have any questions about reclaiming screens, please do not hesitate contacting us. Thank you.